Denise Zakuze Skyze Jane lately Deni Habad Yangat at Ann Nitzatlat Masai Habadasni Chief Dolin anyway Jane Made North at that anyway Masai Habadasni. The at Ann out Sa Bakanisni Steel 35 years was on the child welfare health services a takik chot I so government sunye it no penny ninzik it will let on the zena watness do because on insan it taxes chot guy no mudi Halloween no what need the treatment center like clan houses a ordins and taxes chot Anis Cock Burns Lake a foundry zena what Habiest I saw in a daily it will lands on Travis Hall like a at the end of the shot. So again, I'd like to acknowledge that lately Dene territory and also Chief Dolin for coming us and greeting us and welcoming us to her territory. And we're so grateful that Prince George is home to many of your members from the Burns Lake area, the Fraser Lake area, the Fort St. James area, and the Van Roof area, all come to Burns Lake. So we have many members that make Prince George their home. And our services are far-reaching, not only to Carrier and Sekani people, but whoever comes through our doors that's looking for help, we always open the doors to them as well as being First Nations or non-First Nations alike. The adan ba nina satsana wa taksanizi hatsana the adan as nashka tsana wa anuk adan sacho bakatzazin who's the la noch no ani lan it will let an no chadini no hadini the nido kana pakaneu regelnek. So the foundation of Carrier Sekani Family Services was born based on the principles from the elders 35 years ago. I always speak about the first elder advisor, Selina Jod from Saikas, Dennis Alick, many elders that have really upheld the mission of Carrier Sekani Family Services still holds true today. So the principles that were taught to me was love, making sure that we love each other and that we offer kindness to whoever that we are working for. And that's the greatest law of all is love, because without love, it will be a very dismal world. You see all the wars happening in Ukraine and now in Israel. That there obviously there's something wrong there with their principles, and love must be restored. Including that is also responsibility, taking responsibility for your own actions, but also taking responsibility for those less fortunate. And through colonization, our people are less fortunate, and we have seen the poverty escalating for many, many decades since colonization, and that is the responsibility of those of us that can provide a better space for all humankind, mankind on this earth, particularly our First Nations people. Compassion, how do we ensure that we practice with compassion, ensuring that kindness is at the heart of what we do, ensuring that we put ourselves in the the shoes of those people less fortunate and try to live their life on a day-to-day basis is really important. Honesty, of course, we have to treat each other with honest and respectful dialogue and relationships, because that is really important in order for any one of us to be successful. And of course, integrity, how we carry ourselves in all of these values and principles are really important. And of course, building trust and respect. These are all the principles and teachings that our elders have taught us, and we cannot stray from that as we move forward to rebuilding our nations and building history together, starting from today and moving forward based on the principles of the past. Because our principles do get transferred from one generation to the next generation. It was interesting this morning. Mary TG emailed me at 5 o'clock in the morning asking me to review some documents. And I said, gee, Mary, we're a sign of getting old is when you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start doing work. Yeah, she told a delegation across Canada last week at a conference that I was 80 years old because I started young. So I just wanted to talk about those principles because we do get old, and when we get old, it's really important that we look to the younger generation to take our places as we move forward, and that's called succession planning. I was talking to Chief Karina Lewin. She turned 60 this year, and she said, oh my God, I realized that I'm entering into the junior elders age. So I'm not that far behind. So to me, succession planning is really important, and that's really mentoring the younger people that are within our circles of business to teach them the skills and the tools to carry this business for the next 30 years. And hopefully in 30 years' time, many of our achievements will be reached, that our people will be healthy, that we would come some of the challenges, such as the toxic drugs crises that we face day to day. And with that, our response to that is to ensure we build the infrastructure required so that people who want to get healing have that opportunity at that space and place. We have not been afforded the resources to build the infrastructure in British Columbia, but particularly in northern communities. And it's about time that government had to be forced through courts to provide equitable funding for child and family services, including capital. And based on that court case, we were able to get resources to start building some developments. And that work, of course, was led by Cindy Blackstock, who is Gitsan and used to work for Carissa County Family Services years ago. And of course, her deputy, Mary TG, our own Mary TG, worked with her alongside, always on top of issues with government and also ensuring that chiefs had the proper information to make informed decisions. Well, last week, the Supreme Court of Canada endorsed the $24 billion settlement, the largest in history in Canada, so that those children that have been done wrong by the system entering into care, who have been mistreated, can get some validation. So Chief Lewin, our president, provided you with an overview of some exciting developments, including the Healing Center. Shout out to Tracy Michelle, who has been assisting me on this project. And trust me, this project, while very exciting, is a lot of work. Dealing with architects, contractors, and our funders is very, very tedious. The Foundry, Travis will report on that. The intent of the Foundry is another exciting project that is evolving. And the next project Sandra will speak to is the clan houses. Again, in our communities, many of our people have suffered the impacts of colonization, and as such has turned to behaviors that had put their children at risk. And historically, and it continues today, that white social workers would come into our communities and apprehend these children and put them in non-native homes. This has been happening for years and years and years, and we will stop that by developing our own legislation, Carrier-Sekani laws that would protect the well-being and cultural integrity of all our children in care. But these clan houses will play a vital role so that instead of taking the children out of community, We will train clan mothers and clan fathers right in community so that the children remain in community. We will no longer have to pay $60,000 per child to people that don't know our children, but reinvest that money to build the infrastructure right in each of your community so that the children remain safe and secure. Which brings me to the jurisdiction project. We have been on a journey to develop our jurisdiction project, and we took the method to ensure that we include each community in the dialogue moving forward, and working with community to build the infrastructure that are required in communities so that once we enact our legislation, we will have the supports in our community. So that body of work is huge. It's a lot of work. I think we're probably on draft 16 of our legislation, but it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to be an enabling legislation so that we could always change it as we move forward. Part of that includes a review of our existing child and family services so that it will give us and inform us in terms of how to restructure child and family services so that it best meet the needs of our community and not meeting the needs of government. Included, of course, in that is a comprehensive community needs assessment. So UNBC will be assisting us in going out to communities, asking chief council and members about what the needs are to ensure that we have a solid child and family services framework and infrastructure. That includes capacity building. Now, moving forward, what kind of human resources do we need? We talked about the healing center. I think we need a staff of about 60 people, right, Travis? So approximately 60 people for the operations of that healing center. So it's quite a huge endeavor. And we hope that the doors will be open next fall about this time, or of course maybe a couple of months past a year from now. I'm also pleased to report that we do now have a Justice Department. Julie is kind of the sole soldier in that department, but it's slowly going to be built. Small but mighty. So that portfolio will look at missing and murdered women, some of the justice issues. We're going to be exploring policing services and looking at tribal police force. I remember a few years back at the Tribal Council, we did entertain a Carrion-Secani tribal policing force, but at that time funding ran out in Ottawa, but we could resurrect that idea as well moving forward. Also, I'm pleased to announce that we have funding through Child and Family Services with CHRT to build a legal services department. We have one of our own, Lincoln Holgren, who will be called to the bar in November, who will be coming on stream at Carrion-Secani Family Services. We also interviewed 2 potential candidates for Chief Legal Services Officer that will be joining us. We do have enough money to probably hire both of them, so that we'll have a complement of 3 lawyers providing advice around child and family services matters, assisting us to reform the system and ensuring that the plans developed for children are meeting the needs of that child. So a lot of exciting things happening. And finally, I'd like to report and apologize that we don't have the financial statements completed yet. The auditors were waiting for another piece of the audit, which is reports from communities on the community contract for prevention funding. So we're very close to getting all the documents. The documents are at the auditor's office. They're just reviewing them, and hopefully the audit will be available next week. So again, I apologize for that, but once it's completed, it will be submitted to the board, as well as once the board reviews it, it will be online. So with that, that concludes my report. Oh, sorry. I want to thank Communications, Marlena and her team, for all the work they did for organizing this assembly. Also to all the board of directors for moving the agency forward and providing us the guidance and advice. And to you as staff members for your dedication, commitment, and strength to do this hard work. Basay.
Check, check, check. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test. So at this point, does anybody in the room have any questions for Warner, the big boss? Your opportunity to ask questions, comments.
I could start with the ones that have been submitted. So one question for you is, what is being done about illegal drugs in our communities? And this was submitted through an anonymous form ahead of the AGA online.
Very good question. Illegal drugs is rampant everywhere, not only in our communities, but it appears that the traffickers use our communities as a haven to traffic. It's a very difficult question, and we can only tackle it if we work with your local chief and councils, and we're definitely available to do that, to help them develop a strategy. I know Stella, Mabel met with her community and including her elders, and they did develop a strategy to curb the drug trafficking. So it is possible. We do have a framework, and we can employ that in other communities at the request of chief and councils.
Thank you. We had another question submitted. Can we share future program ideas with executive directors?
Most definitely. We're always open to innovation. We have Rachel, who is leading the innovation department, and she loves ideas. Ideas are very important. We can have all the ideas in the world, but execution is more important than ideas. So if you have ideas, also give us some thoughts around how to execute those ideas.
We also had another comment on the page just related to your presentation. This person said, in the clan houses, we need to remember our Two-Spirit folks, especially Two-Spirit adults, community supports for the youth using these places to see themselves in the future as existing and valid, not just clan mothers and fathers, for we've never just had two genders.
Totally agreed.
All of us.
Yeah, we're all one.
Hari, Warner ani iskaq tabeya hawle the kay ani hu ani tahni any skaq no bear the shiedestek the qadahlek وغيوه سفتكتنا واني tahni the no bear that ye groups laqas ye groups in leader each band noch bearbeitet noch bearbeitet laus Kacha beschädigt sana jete on sie hat na beschädigt gerade what I would like to say is, as actually a member of the board, as the elder here in Carrier-Sakani, so I feel that it's, as an elder, I feel like I should bring up the idea of having elders from each band who are involved in Carrier-Sakani to be ready to be talking to the young people in the clan houses. So I'm just suggesting that we do get elders together so that they can be ready as well to know and learn. That's what the kids can learn how it was back in the day, and the elders can teach them those things. Thank you.
So thank you, Nancy. Nancy Williams from Lake Babine Nation. For those of you online, because you might not be able to see her, so in response to Nancy Warner.
Thank you, Nancy. Definitely, the knowledge keepers are our elders, and it's important that we use their knowledge to further the programming once we establish those clan houses. Another component for the clan houses is capacity building and training house parents or clan mothers and clan fathers, and the elders for each of the communities will be vital in teaching the traditions and knowledge of our ancestors. So yes, some dialogue has started with the matriarchs committee that provide us a lot of knowledge and information, and that'll all be collated into a manual. And Mary will elaborate later on her report.
We just have one final question from online. Stephanie asked, I'd like to know about the situation with family court lawyers. Will there be lawyers available to help families dealing with family court?
Our focus will be on child and family services matters for legal advice, and some of it will definitely be family court. So yes, once we get our legal services up and running, we will provide communities with information around the mandate and the work for the Legal Services Department. Very good questions, and thank you to all those that are online listening to the reports and joining us virtually. Masai Chow.